All right, we're live. As usual, guys, welcome back to BILT's Weekly Live, where we go over everything real estate with an AI and automation marketing touch. First off, thanks for tuning in tonight. Of course, you could have been anywhere in the world, but instead you are here with me. I appreciate that. If you're new here or you're watching from YouTube or Facebook, there is a link to the actual Zoom that you can join in the description. We do have a few updates today, but today and in the next few weeks, we'll be honing in on the core of every business, including real estate, which is marketing. If you guys have a specific topic you want me to go over in the next lives, of course, don't hesitate to reach out and we'll talk about that as well. If you have any questions, whether it has to do with the CRM or you're already using the system and you just need some Q&A, also don't hesitate to ask a question. That always will be priority. But yeah, as usual, if you wish BILT could do more, or if you think there's something that we can improve on, or there's some new cool thing that you wish we could do, make sure to check out our ideas section on the website at the bottom, where you can upload all the ideas for us to build all those cool things out for you. And then for those of course that want to support BILT, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the value. We always appreciate that. We're in the process right now. I guess let's just say we're building out new cool shit for everyone, right? And again, none of our competitors will have this, so of course we're going to be revealing this slowly but surely for everybody, so do keep that in mind. Also today we're going to be picking out, I guess, a winner for the June giveaway, so make sure to listen into, because you could be one of those winners. Okay. But then, as usual, for our little shameless plug that we like to do in the middle of this, if you enjoy the lives and appreciate the free education and want us to continue doing this for free, make sure you are liking and subscribing and sharing the value. Okay, so we'll always repeat that every time, because it does take a lot of time for us. So we appreciate it and welcome all the support we can get. Also, if you're interested in BILT, make sure to check us out at BILTCRM.com. And of course, if you are not an affiliate, why not? You could be making more money. As I said earlier, we're going to be focusing on marketing for real estate. So cold calling, texting, mailers, cold email, LOIs, branding, paid ads, all of these are forms of marketing. A business can only run on one type of marketing, or a business that only does run on one marketing channel for so long, causes issues, fatigues in its type of marketing and so forth. So we're not only going to be talking about how to do more as far as marketing channels, but we're also going to be building them out together today and of course in the next coming weeks. So whether you are in acquisitions, wholesaling, TC, lending, or any type of other business model, in the real estate space, or and another one, right, it's always going to be a major concern, right? Because if you just focus on cold for the rest of your life, well, what are we doing with all the warm ones that are inside of our system that say no, right? You spend a lot of money to convert those cold leads into warm leads, right? And so in this standpoint, the whole goal here is to make sure we are always reducing our cost per acquisition as much as possible, being more efficient, speed of service, all these different types of things are really, really important. Okay. But what if you could just copy and paste an entire system, no matter the business model, and you can just hit play, right? That is always my goal. That is always my goal for everything that I built out. But at the same time, BILT 2.0, BILT's amazing, don't get me wrong, right? But can we always make it better, right? That's always going to be the thing, right? Can we make it better? Can we make it faster? Can we make it more basically on autopilot and so forth? Like, is there something that we can do to make this better, right? And what I'm talking about is, right now you guys are probably doing lead gen, maybe follow-ups, right? Sending LOIs, sending contracts, whatever. You're converting something in some way, whether it's acquisitions, disposition, TC, lending, and any other type of form, right? But what we're really lacking, and this goes for like pretty much all smaller companies, is going to be long-term nurture, right? And what I want to build out is something, and we have it for our software, but it's not really, that's for our software, right? We want to kind of tailor this to more real estate for you guys as well, so long-term nurture is there. Think of it like this, right? What is a billion-dollar company? Let's take Expedia, for example. Do they not send you emails for the rest of your life? Okay, that's one example, right? Let's just say it's Facebook, right? Where every time there's an update on a policy, or Google, right? There's a policy update, they notify you. Anytime they have a new product or service, they're updating you, right? Well, why aren't we doing this in real estate, right? And the reason why I'm saying this is right now, a lot of people in real estate are going to say wholesalers, maybe they focus on acquisition, maybe they focus on disposition, maybe, you know, they're also doing TC work. Maybe they're doing, you know, some sort of gator lending, private money lending, also simultaneously. Maybe they're doing acquisitions for themselves. What if they're doing multitude of those? Well, in that case, does the people around you know that you do all of these things? Okay, so that's number one. So scalability is a big thing right now. I know a lot of people get comfortable, right? They hit their 20K, 50K a month, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm okay with that. But there's also a lot of people that want to scale beyond that. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but my goal is to become a billionaire, right? And in that case, that requires systems, that requires scalability, that requires building something that let's just say it's templated, right? Where if you wanted to start a brand new business tomorrow, or let's say another sector of your business, then all you would have to do is hit play, right? So we're talking about like multiple things, like multiple call to actions. So let's just use an example, right? You give out a free resource. We'll just use that as an example right here. Well, that free resource could be, you know, let's say it's a calculator. A lot of people do this stuff, right? And the whole point of that is to maybe gain wholesalers, maybe to gain agents, maybe to gain buyers, right? For that particular activity, right? Well, a lot of people just focus on, oh, we're just going to do that to grab buyers, right? Or we're just going to grab that to grab wholesalers so they can send us deals. Well, why aren't we doing the other two simultaneously? Like that's what I'm talking about, right? Utilizing the same data that you've already took all that hard effort to do, to create that video, to create that piece of content, or maybe cold outreach. You reached out to someone, you reached out to a buyer, and you got them inside your system. Well, that buyer could also be a wholesaler, right? And it could help you dispo a deal. Maybe they have friends, right? And agents can also help you dispo a deal. A lot of people don't know that, and they don't even try, right? And so it's like, why aren't we using different aspects of things, right? So again, the premise of this is long-term nurture in a sense, but it also is to increase your conversion rates as much as possible in every different type of your business, right? Every single sector of your business, right? I've said this before, right? But it costs money to get a lead warm, right? We're paying for cold leads, we're paying for data half the time, right? And if we don't do anything with that lead, and instead we just move on to the next one, right, then we're faced with dealing with a cold audience of the 1%, right? And so therefore we're continuously doing this, right? And then we're always paying the price to warm them up. Okay, so today and in the next few weeks, we're going to be building this together. Of course, you know, as usual, everything we built here, you know, in BILT goes to everybody in BILT. That's just how it works. How we do it in here. This is building innovative logistics together. That's what BILT stands for. So these are the systems that agency is usually charged the 20 to 50 to 100 to whatever to set up for you when you go and hire these big agencies, right? These are the things that I'm talking about building out, right? Not just some normal one-off automation that you see every single other system out there build. It's like they do one thing, right? And one thing and only one thing. We don't want to do that, right? We want to build something that's big. We want to build something that's huge, right? So that anybody that comes in here, no matter what business model they have, they'll be able to plug and play and just turn on the other marketing channels they really want, right? On the back end. But before we get into there, I want to go ahead and actually do the BILT giveaway now. This way we can kind of get it out of the way and we can actually really focus on moving on and actually building what we came here to do. So this is how it's going to work, right? The winner, of course, I'll make sure to DM you in case you didn't watch the live, but since this was the first time around that we've done something like this, and you know, there wasn't that many people that were really, you know, got a chance to really see us do this and whatnot. We'll be doing the same exact thing for the month of July, so do keep that in mind. I'll be probably posting that in the next couple days. So make sure you are part of the BILT Facebook group. If you know someone that could benefit or needs a system like BILT, make sure to have them participate in the giveaway. But let's go ahead and do the giveaway and get this out of the way. I built something really cool. It's called Wheels of Names. So we plugged in all the names for you guys inside of here. so that we can be completely randomized and we don't know what's going to happen. So let's pull this up real quick. This should work. So these are the people that entered the giveaway. Let's go ahead and sort them. Let's shuffle them a few times, right? And then let's go ahead and spin the wheel, right? Let me actually make sure you guys have access to the audio, or else that wouldn't be fun. Let's just do that. Advanced computer audio. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and spin this thing. All right. Again, if you are the winner of this thing, just, you know, I'm going to DM you anyways, but the whole goal here is to make sure that everybody has an equal chance. You know, reducing that barrier to entry for everybody is really important to me. But at the same exact time, right, we got to make sure, you know, you guys are getting exactly what you need. The last thing I want is me giving you this account, right? And it's an annual account, right? Jason Oliver, you're the winner. Congratulations. The last thing I want, Jason, is you get this account and don't do anything. I understand it doesn't cost you anything, right? But just keep that in mind, right? You have a full-fledged system that has a lot of tech in it, right? A lot of things that a lot of people would want, right? A lot of people would need in their business model to help them scale. So make sure you are taking action if you are listening to this. I appreciate that. And once again, you are the winner, Jason Oliver. Cool. Let's move on. Go over here. So right off the bat, right? So in order to really build a system that is plug and play, we need to be thinking long-term wise. We need to be thinking of building a huge empire, right? In a sense, right? So what happens when you pull a list? What happens when you start reaching out and doing cold outreach to them, whether it's cold emails, calls, SMS, DMs? I don't really care what strategy of outreach you're doing, but at the end of the day, we're reaching out to this cold audience, right? And so the primary goal is to get them to be warm, right? And we're already doing this in our business, right? We're doing this all the time. We're pulling cold leads from, let's say, PropStream, Batch Leads, Deal Sauce, the county tax assessor, whatever, Redfin, Zillow, right? We're pulling all this data and we're already working on those leads for, like, let's say, acquisitions, right? Or maybe you're a dispo company and people are coming to you. Those are more warm, of course. So the way I like to look at it is something like this, right? Now, this is something I built out a year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years ago, before we even launched BILT, right? And the whole point of this is not to be like, oh, we're just going to copy this. No, every business is a little bit different, right? So we need to understand something. But the reason why I'm pulling this up is to give you guys more of a visual, right, of how a company should be. And of course, you know, where people are mostly at, right? And the reality is, right, most people are just doing either A, just the content, or B, just the outreach right here, some sort of cold calling, cold texting, cold emailing, especially like acquisitions, right? That's what we're doing. There's a few people that do paid ads, right? They do PPC, PPL leads, they buy leads, whatever, right? That sort of stuff is there too. And we're either getting on a call directly, so we're having that sales call or acquisition call with them, and we're trying to acquire the property to a wholesaler, acquire it for ourselves to fix and flip or buy and hold or whatever, right? Or maybe you're a disposition company and you're having that call to sell to another end buyer, right? So you're selling at this point. So there's multiple things, right? In real estate, there's acquisitions and there's selling. So we got to keep that both in mind here, right? Now again, right? How do we get people to know about everything else that we do? A lot of people in here are doing more than just acquisitions. And if you are doing just acquisitions, right, that's one thing. Let's say you're acquiring deals. Well, then you're probably giving 50% for dispositions on wholesale, let's say, right? So you're giving away a lot of money already there. And again, it could be a 60-40, 70-30, whatever, right? It does not matter. But if you truly want to grow into a bigger company, most people that come to us and BILT, they want to be able to do everything, right? And so that's why we do offer, you know, full acquisition, LOI blasting, to automatic follow-ups, to contracts, to all those cool things, right? Then it goes into relationship building, and we have all the templates for it and the dispositions. That's cool, but that's still forefront, right? That's always the forefront of everything. That's initial, I like to call it initial, what's the right word? you're just doing it for the sale, if that makes sense, that initial sale. And so it's like, that's not long-term wise, right? These people that you're dealing with, whether it's your buyers, your lenders, your agents, your wholesalers, I'm not going to put sellers into that group, but you can as well. Don't you want to have relationships with those people for as long as possible? Or are we here just to do one deal, right? The problem is right now, most people think, especially when they first become a wholesaler or first become anything in real estate, they're like, let me just make that first deal. Let me do what I need to do to get that first deal, make 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand, whatever, right? We got to be thinking in a way where if we're always doing cold outreach, whichever your way, there's a reason why acquisitions with sellers never changes. It's always cold outreach, always, right? Versus dispositions, it gets easier over time because you build those relationships, right? And so as you continuously build those buyers, now it's easier and easier and easier and easier. It keeps getting easier to dispo that deal, right? Well, why can't we do that with everything we do, right? The reality is you can. It's just no one really talks about it, right? And the only reason why I bring it up is because not only do I do real estate, but I've been in other multiple businesses as well. I've done e-commerce, right? I've done the agency model, right? I've done the wholesaling, the fix and flipping, the buy and holds, I've done the lending. I haven't done TC work and all that stuff. I don't care about that, the little stuff, but everybody does certain things along their journey, right? And then they like certain aspects of the business, or maybe they like multiple aspects of the business. And so it's like, we always need to make sure that we're kind of doing everything. So let me give you an example here, right? Let's just say you're doing any type of cold outreach, and then in this instance, right? And, most of the time you're pretty much getting them to, let's say, a sales call, acquisition call, whatever you want to call it, right? Some sort of appointment. It could be in person, not in person, whatever, Zoom call, I don't care. Something of that nature, right? But what if you gave them value first, something that was free, or maybe it was something that was low ticket or whatever along the lines, right? Let's just say a seller, right? Giving them instructions or a manual on subject to seller finance and the benefits of doing something like that when they're in like foreclosure or whatever. That's just one form of a lead magnet that I just came up with off the top of my head. And so it's like, you can come up with multiple of these, right? For different target people. The tired landlords, right? The benefit of becoming, a lender and instead of becoming a landlord or staying a landlord, right? And actually retiring and so forth, right? Different things that you can provide to them, right? You can also offer them different services, right? So services would be, we'll give you a free estimate on your house. We'll give you a, free look and give you a total evaluation of what your property is worth, whatever. Again, I'm just throwing things out here right now. They don't have to be right or wrong exactly to how you do business, but these are all possible solutions, right? So it's like, there's that. So what does that do though? That builds trust, that builds credibility, that builds respect, right? And there's just so many things that it builds that if we're just doing the cold calls, right, or the cold texts or the cold emails or the cold LOIs, whatever which route you want to go, or you're just buying those leads, you're missing out on certain features. Now, that does not mean that you can't cold call and then have that conversation, but then have your system still give them value at the end of the day, right? A lot of people are just doing traditional follow-up. They're either going to sell you the house or they're going to unsubscribe. Those are the common things, right? Well, it's like, we don't want them to unsubscribe. We want them to sell to us, right? And if that's the case, if we want them to sell to us, what do we have to do? We have to give them some sort of value, right? At the end of the day, that seller could be your lender, right? That seller could have another property that they're going to sell you. An agent goes the same way, right? A buyer goes the same way. Like every single one of those type of personalities, avatars, whatever you want to call them at the end of the day, can go a certain way. And so it's like, okay, cool. Well, you give them some sort of value. Well, what happens after that? Well, you could recommend them to maybe a newsletter that you built out, which we're going to build out, right? You can recommend them to a live workshop, a webinar, some sort of affiliate program, another product, a low ticket one, high ticket one, some program, some education piece, whatever it may be. Maybe you refer them to an agent at this point in time, right? Because you're an investor and you can't do the deal. Maybe you refer them to an agent and you take a cut of the deal. So there's a lot of things in here that we're not doing and that most people don't don't do, because they're told when they get into these mentorships and these communities, pick up the phones, or PPC, PPL leads, just buy the leads and get on the phones, right? No, that's not the reality of it, right? Are we here to run a business, or are we here to run a side hustle? I don't know about you guys, but like, I'm not here to do any type of hustle. I don't want to hustle for the rest of my life. Like, I want to grow. I want to continuously grow and scale to the moon as much as possible, as fast as possible. But in order to do that, we need some sort of system, right? So we're not doing it all ourselves. Can you send somebody? Let's say you have 1,000 people you're talking to, like, can you send them, 1,000 emails, just one-on-one to them? No, you need to have to be able to bulk send. That's the reality of certain things. But here's the reason. Because 99% of people are going to be classified as unqualified here, right? So these are the unqualified people. Only 1% is really going to go to your website and look at your testimonials and look at your credibility, or get on that sales call and do some sort of thing right here. That 99%, and again, your business might be 2%, might be 3%, so be it, right? But the other 90-something% in there, what are we doing with them? Most of the time, we're throwing them into not interested. We're completely disregarding them. We might throw them on a 45-day long-term follow-up, and we send them one message, a text message, an email, or whatever, right? And it's like, oh, are you still interested in selling your house? Like, that's not what we want to do here, right? This is not how a business should operate. We should be giving them value, right? We should be giving them more testimonials or case studies of how other people are benefiting working with you as a company, right? That's going to acquire it, or it's going to sell it for them, or whoever, right? And so that's why it's important to do this, right? Now, again, right, this is just one cold outreach channel, right? You want to do the same thing with your content. You want to do the same thing with paid ads eventually, right? As you scale and as you do more. But you can't really start paid ads, and this is where people like lose money on PPC, right? You start doing paid ads and you're paying that premium, and so your cost per acquisition is so high. Don't get me wrong, if you want to get a deal tomorrow and you have more than enough money, go buy PPC. You'll get a deal tomorrow, right? Go buy 20, 30 leads, right? Get on the phone with every single one of them. You'll close a deal. But how much did that cost you? $6,000, $3,000, whatever, how much it costed, right? To buy those leads. It's like, is that cool if you're a wholesaler? Not really, right? It's not that great. Maybe if you're acquiring a property for yourself that you don't care, right? At that point in time, you don't have a wholesaler in between to have an assignment fee or someone to daisy chain and whatever, right? And you're losing money, so that might work. But if you're trying to build a business here, even for the long term, and you are buying properties for your portfolio, I still don't want to pay that much. I want to reduce it as much as possible. That's why you should do content and do other type of cold outreaches or referral partnerships or whatever, right? Along the line. And so it's like, well, how do we reduce the paid ads? Well, I'll give you a perfect example, right? Let's just say, think of it like this, right? If I paid for Facebook ads or Google ads or whatever type of advertising, and let's just say it cost me $500 to get a lead. Now, I'm just throwing numbers out here. They're not necessarily going to be accurate right now. $500, okay? It cost me $500 to get an actual hot lead, right, inside your system, right? They're 100% interested in selling. They filled out the form. They did all that, right? But you got that lead in, okay? Well, let's say you got 10. Well, now you're at 5,000, right? 5,000 leads inside, $5,000 worth of 10 leads inside your system. Well, and all you're doing is getting on the phones with them and maybe throwing them through like a long-term follow-up, 45-day or whatever, because they don't answer you or whatever, right? Along those lines, or maybe even a quick, fast 3-step follow-up system, right? Or 5-step follow-up system. And then it goes to a long-term 45-day. Well, what's happening is here, maybe they didn't answer you. Maybe they were busy, they were at work, they were at whatever, right? And you lost them at that point in time. Well, imagine if you had a longer term follow-up sequence instead of just those 3 and 5. You had more stuff that gave them value and told them why they should work with you. You gave them testimonials, you gave them credibility, you gave them video content, you invited them to your community, you invited them to whatever other product or service you have to offer, right? As well, at the same time, not sell, or acquire in this instance. You're giving them value. and you continue doing this for a 6-month period with them, and then they always got something from you that was positive. Now, you don't want to keep selling or acquiring at this point. You want to continue giving them value so they never unsubscribe from you. Because they're like, even though they do get that sale call from you or the acquisition call, then they still know, oh, I'm not in the mood to answer it right now, but the reason why I'm doing this is because he gives me so much value, right? But on the other hand, if you keep doing that and you didn't have that type of follow-up system, or you didn't have that long-term nurture, what would happen? Well, you would lose that PPC lead, right? You'd probably lose it forever. You'd never touch it again. You'd be like, yeah, I got that one a month ago. I got that one 2 months ago. And yeah, I tried calling them. It didn't really work out. So yeah, I just forgot. I moved on. I bought more leads. That's the end of it, right? And that's what a lot of businesses do. Well, I don't care if you're in real estate. I don't care if you're an agency business. I don't care if you're an e-commerce business. Everybody does the same exact thing, right? And so it's like, having this paid ads here, you spent $500 to acquire a lead. Well, what if you had that system set up, and because you had that system set up, right, that lead cost, because let's just say it costs you 20 leads to convert, right? 20 leads to convert, that's $10,000, right? I can't do math right now, but let's just say it's $10,000. But now you have a follow-up system that cuts that in half, right? Or cuts it by a third, or cuts it by whatever. And so now your cost per acquisition is not $10,000, it's $5,000, or maybe it's $3,000, maybe it's $4,000, because you have the additional follow-up system inside there, right? Having additional free value will always build trust and credibility and so much more, right? If I were to ask you right now, do you guys even have a website that looks credible, that tells them about you, tells them about how many deals you've done, showcases how many happy people have worked with you, and I probably wouldn't get anybody realistically in real estate that could raise their hand besides the successful people, right, that are already doing it. And the reason is it takes time, right? It takes time to do these things. It's not easy, right? Because even if I were to say, let me build this entire thing up here from scratch completely for a full 6-month period, yes, it would probably take, months and months on end to build something like this, right? It's not easy, right? You got to have all the resources. Let's say you were going to build an email flow that was 6 months long. Well, guess what? You need to have every single one of your lead magnets ready to go, right? And so today, I'm going to show you guys how to do a lead magnet. It's going to be simple, right? It's going to be very, very simple. And if you already have BILT, you'll probably be like, why haven't I done this already, right? Because it could be like, oh, I'm trying to get somebody to a live event that I'm holding to showcase how I'm doing deals. Well, you could do it inside the system. Oh, I have a good resource. Oh, I want to do consulting. Oh, I want to do TC work. Oh, I want to do whatever. I want to become a lender, but I can't find any buyers, people who are actually buying properties. So it's like having some sort of lead magnet will entice people to come and fill out. Now you have them inside your system, right? Now I'm going to show you an example of one that we already have pre-built, of course, inside of the system, because you guys are not using it. I've literally went in your accounts and have not seen you guys use this till this day. So I think it's like kind of disappointing in a way, where I built it for Squad Up this last year. And the only people that used it really were our brand ambassadors and affiliates. I'm like, come on, guys! Like, everybody should be using this at this point in time. So let me actually pull up an account, a demo account, so you guys can see what you guys have access to. Go with this one right here. Pull up. So right off the bat, right inside of the system, you're gonna see the sites, right, inside of your websites. So in here we have digital business cards. Well, a digital business card in a way is a lead magnet, right? And I'll tell you why. Well, think of it like Blink or Link or Popple or any one of those things that you scan a QR code at an event, right? And you get their contact info. Well, typically it doesn't go into your CRM. It just stays in that app, right? Or stays on your phone book in your phone or whatever. Well, the way this is designed is, well, the moment they get the QR code scanned or they go directly to the link, it pops up an actual form right here, right? And so it's like, okay, let's connect. Put your name, email, phone number, and then here we have the option of doing like agent, buyer, lender, wholesaler, whatever, right? You can change these. That's not what that's important. They can take a selfie with you, and it'll get sent to them a text message with the selfie and an introduction from who as to who you are, right? And now you have them officially inside of your system for that long-term relationship building, nurture, whatever you want to call it, right? But on top of that, you have in here more lead magnets, right? These are lead magnets, right? A buy box, lender intake form, dispo intake form, schedule a demo with you, join an affiliate program like Sub2, whatever you want to do as far as that. Visit your actual website, right? Whatever other type of things, grab more free stuff, whatever you want to actually give value to that person, right? When you first meet them at an event. Well, that's a form of a lead magnet, right? So let's just say here, this is the buyer intake form. This is the investor one. This is the JV one. I think this is just another one we pulled up. But you get the idea, right? Every single one of these things is important to grow your business. Do you need buyers? Do you need lenders? Do you need to help people? Do you want to help people dispo deals? Maybe you don't, right? But let's just say you need to be able to do these things to help you grow your business, right? And so how would we do this, right? Well, we did it in a form of a lead magnet at an event, correct? So this was one way. And therefore you gave them the option to opt in, not once, not 1, 2, and 3 times, no, but like 10 times in here, they could have opted in with you. That's just one example, right? Another one would be, let's say you're giving away free resources, right? So, and we're going to actually build this, we're going to actually build this, together. We're going to create a lead magnet together because it's so easy, right? So all the way at the bottom here, you see we offer free resources. We offer a free deal analysis, right? We offer free things. Inside of here, you get access to the free resources, which you get, all this cool stuff and stuff. All you have to do is put your information in, right? You put your email and your phone number. That's what's called a lead magnet, right? They download it, they get sent to an email, they get access to the Google Drive, they get access to all the cool stuff. This is a lead magnet. Now, in my case, I use this and I put it through my buy or die funnel. And I'll show you guys what a buy or die funnel is in a second. But basically, I will literally gonna message you and email you and text you and keep basically spamming the hell out of you until you buy the software, right? That's just the reality of how marketing works. If you're not doing that, why aren't you? Oh, because I'm ashamed to do that. My pride goes in the way. I'm embarrassed to do that, right? Business is cutthroat, guys, right? We're here to do business at the end of the day. Let's be real, right? And so in real estate too, we're here to buy that deal and assign that deal. We're here to wholesale that deal. We're here to dispo that deal. We're here to lend money or take people's money on their deals to do more deals, right? If anybody gets in your way, what should you do? You should tell them, move the hell out of the way. Let me do my thing, right? I'm the boss of my company, right? I need to be successful because if I'm not successful, I can't feed my family. I can't take care of them. I can't do what I want to do. I can't grow. I can't have the lifestyle that I want, whatever your goals are, right? At the end of the day. So there should be no hesitation on how we do things, right? And so this is another free resource, right? Let's look at the free deal analysis, right? Same idea. It's just another landing page, giving people instructions on how to use it or whatever, right? They get your LOI blast or easy LOI for free using our creative deal analysis and LOI generator. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's awesome. You can create LOIs for you, but it's not going to follow up. It's not going to send those offers. It's not going to do certain things. So it gives them a piece of the tool, right? Or a piece of the pie, essentially, of what that person is looking for, so they come and communicate with you, right? But you're giving something free that's actually valuable. I wouldn't give somebody a free resource that's not valuable. So just keep that in mind, right? Make sure it's valuable for that audience that you're targeting. For example, people in foreclosure, give them something that will educate them on how to get out of foreclosure and how you can benefit them, right? Maybe if you're a foreclosure specialist and you're really good at getting all that money put on the back end, right? However you do your business. But that's how I would do it, right? I would be choosing different types of lead magnets that make sense, right? And so it's like the goal here is to build as many of those as possible, right? And I don't mean just build them and not use them. No, we're going to be using them for multiple ways. Like by the way, let's actually jump into the buy or die funnel, right? So buy or die funnels in here. Think of it like this, right? Now, granted, this one that you see in front of you is what I have built out, right? It's for the system itself, but we're going to be recreating this specifically for you guys in real estate, right? Makes no difference what type of company you're in. All that matters is you're following the same procedure right here. And we call, we call this the buy or die funnel, right? And you can call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, I want you to pay attention to a few things here. Number one, how many times we're reaching out to people in here, right? How many times are people getting a message from us, or an email or text or whatever, right? So many times, and during all these 7 phases that we have here. So 181 days, right? But not just that, people who abandon cart, let's say, on one of your services or products or whatever, right? Because some of you guys are maybe TCs and you sell a service, they get to the checkout, they abandon, right? They don't want to do it, or whatever, right? And so it's like, well, that's added on. There's what happens if you host a webinar, an event, some sort of thing to educate people. You get people into things. Well, we have something like that as well built out. And then again, we have something what's called wake the dead. People who never answer to any one of these, every so often we'll shoot them something and we'll clear out our lists, right? Because again, we want to keep messaging them for life as much as possible, but at the end of the day, if they're not responding, that just typically means they're not getting delivered, you know, and you know, they just don't care. So we do want to clean out our data as well. So this is something that's built. So that's one thing, how much that goes into something like this. But in order to do something like this, we need our call to action set up. Okay. And these are our, let's say, some of our, what's the right word? What we were just talking about over here. So our lead magnets, right? We need these lead magnets to be prepared in order to build something like this, and in order to build something like this. So all of these things were pre-set up before we can even build a page like this, right? And then once this is set up and they put their information, you still need automations in the back end to send them the details. So there's a few things that go into this, right? But in order to really create this whole long-term thing, you might start this process and only be able to build phase 1 and 2, you know, and be like, I don't have more call to actions, right? I can't send somebody to a demo. That's not my business model. Well, cool, change it to something else, right? You can't give them another bonus because you only have 2 bonuses, let's say, or 2 free resources that you currently own. Well, go build another one. Go use ChatGPT. Go build something new. Create another landing page. Use that as another call to action, right? And build the next phase of your business, right? And so it's like, okay, watch this testimonial video. I'm pretty sure, like, if you guys have done a deal with somebody, it's not hard to ask somebody for a testimonial, or in the beginning, you know, go find other people that are successful and ask them permission to use their testimonials, right? That's a strategy as well. Don't hesitate to ask for that. People don't, like, again, they're here to help. We're all here to help, okay? You know, let's say you are offering a service along the way, whether that is a giving them a free inspection on their house just to get in the door. A lot of investors do this, right? They give them a free inspection so they can actually, like, really just get a hold of them and talk to them in person, and buy their house ultimately. So, like, in this case, instead of a free trial, it's a free inspection, right? Or maybe it's it could be anything. It could be if you're buying land and doing it with people, maybe you offer people a free survey or whatever, right? Whatever you choose to do and how you do your business, right? You can start giving people free stuff, because the ultimate goal is not that little thing that you're offering, right? It's acquiring that property. It's making the big dollars, right? At the end of the day, or selling a recurring service or something along those lines. And so again, right? Join the affiliate program. Well, maybe this will become a referral partner, right? Meaning you have a deal and you know my buy box makes sense. Well, keep sending me deals, right? If you know that I'm really good at dispositions, right? And you're a wholesaler and you're coming to me, well, I will give you a referral for every time you recommend other wholesalers to come to me. Stuff like that, right? This is the stuff that nobody does, right? Because they don't think outside of the box, and we're just taught to pick up the phone and just call the seller, call the buyer, you know, call whoever, pull a list, and or do PPC, and then that's it, right? Like, you want to be working simultaneously, right? You want to be doing other things. The same thing goes for registering for, like, a webinar or something. For all I care, it's a pre-recorded one you've done, educating a different seller, right? And just you showing your face, kind of like how I do, right? Where I switch the scene, right? It's like, it's just me talking. You guys are in the background, but I'm talking to an audience, I can technically just record this and use it as a free webinar that's recurring for every time a seller comes and they're like, hey, how do you actually do this? Well, this is how I do it, based off the recorded video. And so it's like, that's how you would do a recurring one, where it's like your client's like, oh, well, he has a recorded webinar or a free webinar, a free whatever, right? Let me actually go watch that. Maybe it's actually educational, right? Maybe you were just talking to a seller on the phone and you were explaining how subject to works. Record that and use it as your, education piece. Like, hey, listen to this conversation with me and another seller. Blur out their names, of course, and see how I explained how I could benefit and I bought their house ultimately, right? Like, these are the things that people are not doing. But when you build a system like this, there is no excuse, because here's the thing. There's a saying in e-commerce, right? That people need to see your ad 7 times before they even click on you. Now, this is not purchase, right? This is just for them to click on your ad. Well, it's the same thing with when you're doing cold outreach to sellers or to agents or other wholesalers or whoever, right? It's the same exact thing. They need to see you. They need to hear you. You need to touch them multiple times. There's a reason why in direct to seller, we used to say, it's probably a lot higher now, it takes 13 touches, right, to potentially close a deal, right? And so those 13 touches could be phone calls, texts, emails, ringless voicemails, voice drops, whatever you want to call it, right? All these different tactics to convert a deal. Now, that's an average. That doesn't mean it doesn't take 200 touches or 1 touch to convert somebody. You're always going to have different numbers. But if we look at an average, it used to be 13. I think it's more along the 16, 17 nowadays, just because of how much competition there is. But that was like 2-3 years ago, that conversation. Same thing goes to direct to agent. Well, maybe it's a little bit less. It's more around that probably 8 to 9 touches instead of the 16 to 17 touches. But it still takes time. You still need multiple touches, right? And so in this instance, if you're not using something like this, right, where you're having multiple touches with that person and you're recommending them to other things, because here's the reality, right? Excuse me. Here's the reality. If they don't read that full guide, maybe they wouldn't have been interested, right? If they didn't join your little live session or a live or a recorded demo, they wouldn't have been convinced, because all everybody does is pick up the phone and try to call and spam them all day long, right? Instead, you gave them the option, the ability on their own time to make a decision, but they remembered you because every single time you were consistently giving them value and you weren't spamming them, right? Now, I would be completely against every single day of this phase. All these phases right here would be, hey, are you interested in selling? Hey, you're interested in selling? Hey, you're interested in selling? Like, that would be crazy, right? Like, we don't want to do that. We want to be giving them value, right? And so in order to do this, we need to be careful of what our call to actions are. We need to build these call to actions ahead of time, right? And this is why I want to focus today and the next couple of weeks, a few weeks, however long it takes. So I feel like, okay, now it's good enough where you guys can add on your own now, based off your own business models and so forth. But at least I give you guys the keys and strategies, and then we'll eventually build it out in a way where everybody will have it inside of BILT. Okay, so that's the goal here. I want to make sure you guys have everything you guys need. Okay. Does this right now sound like it's cool? Something that you guys would be interested in, or am I just wasting my time? You guys think? Cool. Cool. Awesome. All right. Yeah, give me a second, and we'll jump right into this. Gotta drink my coffee all day long. All right. Let me pull this up, then we'll do this in multiple steps, of course, and then we'll actually switch to a different account. All right, cool. Let's pull up this buy or die funnel real quick. All right, so here's a brand new system, right? We just named it buy or die for now for you guys. And then again, once we're done with this, we can just clone it into everyone's accounts. But the first thing we need to do, of course, is, we got to think of an idea. We got to design it a bit, and you got to think of at least one right now free resource we want to give out as a call to action, right? Because when we're looking at this right here, we need to be able to reference them that specific call to action. Okay. And in order to do that, well, we need to build one out first, or else we can't send an email. There will be no point. I like personally funnels. I know some people like websites. You know, at the end of the day, it's the same exact thing. It doesn't really matter. The most important thing is you're able to make something that you're comfortable with, right? So I'm just going to start from blank. I'm just going to call this, let's call this lead magnets for now. And then we can go from there. You can always change names later. Now, you could choose from templates. You probably could use the AI and that's in beta or whatever. Like I'm a big fan of building stuff from scratch just because I think it's fun, right? Some of you guys don't. But this is going to be lead magnet. And again, I'm just going to label it lead magnet. This magnet -1, right? We're just going to name it that. Okay, and so whatever your domain is, /lead magnet 1, whatever, and we can rename it to actual names later. But the whole goal here is to build the template right now, and kind of go from there, right? So we're gonna create one from blank, and this, look guys, it's literally this easy. Okay, I drag a row here. Let me do that again. All right, I'm literally just throwing a full width section in here. I'm clicking on add row, choosing the full section again, adding an element. I can throw a headline in here. I can throw a sub headline. I know people like to rename and do all this, all the text stuff in between. I don't care, right? This is not the point of this, right? If I want to create something, I'll create it a different way. So, and then of course, let's say you have, we'll add this right in between. Here we're going to put ourselves a nice little image banner of what that little product is, or service, or whatever you're offering. And then here we'll throw in a form. That form, or we could do a button too. Either way works. Let's actually do a button. I think a button's cooler. And then basically we could change text at any point in time. We could change the image, and of course we can rename the button to something else in a second. But here's the thing. We want to do a call to action, right? But in that call to action, we kind of also want what our main core service is, don't we? Like, we just because we're giving someone for free, do we not want to mention our core service at all points in time? So in this case, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make this a little bit darker so I can differentiate. And we'll open up a whole nother section down here at the bottom, and we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to add the row, the full row, and we're going to add a headline. We're going to add some sub headlines in here. And then we might as well throw another element in here for a nice fancy image. Maybe you want bullet points of what your brand is or something along those lines, right? It doesn't really matter how you want to. All right, let's do it this way. We'll add some bullet points, some cool stuff. And then maybe another call to action button for them to go to your main website or main call to service or something along those lines. And then right above this, we'll put an image. So again, right, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Now you could, have ChatGPT build one out for you. You can do whatever you want. There's no right or wrong answer. What matters here is, are we having all the main components at the moment? And then later on, we can go ahead and change things, make it look better, make it look pretty, add our images, add our text, and so forth, right? There's some important things right here. We need to make sure we have an actual header at the top, just so we can put our logo and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and put a navigation menu at the top. This is not the one I wanted, but here, let's look. There's some cool ones in here now. Go with pre-built sections. Let's go with, where's the banner? My blind mega menu headers. Oh, look at this. There's something that's really cool right here. Let's just go throw this up here. All right. I actually don't want this. I don't care about all this stuff. All right. So now you got yourself a cool banner at the top. They're getting their free resource here. So here we'll put free resource title, right? About the free resource. Download here. throw an image in here. You know, we can do that later. You know, maybe you want to expand things, make this a little bit bigger, add a paragraph, maybe underneath it, something, whatever. You're more than welcome to do so. Maybe you want the image to take off the majority of the screen and the download button underneath it. Again, that's up to you how we customize something like this. And then we're going to call this main core service, right? Service slash, in this case, product, right? Because you could be doing either one. And this, again, like, let's just say you're doing this for sellers who are in foreclosure. Well, you're going to offer them an ebook or some sort of educational piece, or some sort of testimonial, or some sort of event. Events will do a little bit different, of course, and the testimonials, but like, you kind of get the idea here, right? We're giving the main thing what they came for, right? Because they clicked on it through your social media, they clicked on it through, let's say, an email, they clicked on it through a text message, they clicked on it from some way, some shape or form, referred to it, whatever. Maybe they went to your website and went to the footer of your website and found it, right? However you have it. The whole goal here is to create it where this is the main thing, and down here is your core service product, right? So again, we could do about said core service slash product, right? And then again, we could throw an image there or whatever, and then list out your bullet points, right? Just keep putting whatever stuff that you think why they should work with you, whatever along those lines, right? So we'll leave it at that. At the bottom, we're going to need something along the lines of a footer, right? So let's go and add a footer, pre-built sections, footer. We can throw one in there. You want to have like a nice fancy one or whatever for your company, that's fine. I'm just going to use a basic one for now, and we can always modify that stuff later. But now if I know colors are off, I know things are off. Let's actually just throw an image in here just to see how it looks. I know some people want to, we could do something like that. Cool. Let's throw another one here. I only got the one. Let me upload something else. Let's go with, here we go. Pull this one up. Here, I actually got the perfect one. Let's do this. We'll put a free resource banner down here. Okay. So something along these lines, right? Again, do we need to fix what this button does? Yeah. And choose like what happens when they actually click the button, right? So it links to like open pop-up or a website or download a file or whatever. In our case, we're going to do a pop-up because we want to make sure we are always collecting their data, right? So we have pop-up in here. We probably need to add what that pop-up does. So in this case, we want to add an element, and inside this element, you're going to have a form. Let's just add the form. Here's your form. I'll tell you why we don't have any forms built. We need to also add one of these. Add an element. Form. So we don't have any forms right now yet. We can always work on that later. But also at the same time, let's go ahead and add another headline, right? Something at the top, whatever. And this thing will pop up whether they click on the download button or not, right? So like if they step away from it, well, what happens, right? So if we click on the general pop-up settings right here, we can choose show pop-up on exit or delay or whatever. I like exit. When they try to go off and click exit, or if they're on their phone or whatever, it'll pop up anyway. So to force them kind of to like download it or whatever. Or just fill in their details. Inside this form, though, we need to build one first because we don't have one. It needs to have asking for their name, their email, their phone number. Sometimes it's easier just to collect their email because you know that they're going to, put the correct email so they can receive the download, right? Otherwise, why would they put a fake email in there? So let's go ahead and just save that right now. We're just going to leave that as is, and let's actually preview this. So you can see just in a few seconds, right, we were able to build something, and when we click the download button, it pulls up a pop-up. Right, very simple, very straight to the point. Again, you'd put more stuff on pretty much all these sections. You would fluff it up a bit. You probably want to make sure this gray zone right here where it has the actual free resource or whatever service or something that you're offering as a call to action actually goes down to like here, at the bottom. You kind of want it to take up more of the real estate on the page. But we're just giving an example here. Again, look how cool this is. Something new that they built. Lovely. Um, Going back, well, we need a form, right? And then what we need for this specific form is an automation, right? To send them the email with that particular link, right? So that's how you would do it. You go here to your forms builder, and let's create a new one. It's like they've optimized so many things in here. And we're going to name this lead magnet. And again, this is one, right? So we want to make sure we're organized in here. And so it's asking for all this information. Because I don't want all this extra stuff in here, and I don't really care for their phone number, maybe you could remove it, right? But if you want to stay compliant for texting, if you want to be able to text them, you want to make sure both of these checkboxes are here as well. So keep that in mind, right? This needs to be required if they, you know, need to be able to have a phone number, right? If we're making the phone number required, then this has to be required. So otherwise, we could uncheck this and uncheck the phone number from being required, and therefore they at least have to put in their email, and they can go ahead and click download. So in this case, we would go ahead and change this to download. Again, you could change the color, you can add more text at the top, you can add a header, you can do whatever you want, change the margins, make it smaller, bigger, whatever you want to do at the end of the day. And then you probably want to update these to your particular website, you know, but we'll worry about that later. Let's just say that's done, right? We saved, we created our form, that's simple, first name, last name. Maybe I don't want first name and last name to be separate. Maybe I just want them to be able to put their full name in here, so it's less fields, it looks nicer, whatever. And maybe these ones right here, let's see if we can actually, we're gonna have to, well, we're not gonna be able to adjust the font right here. We'll just worry about that later. Let's go back. Well, now we got to go and put it back on our website that we just built, right? And make sure that it's attached to it correctly, so that when we actually click on the download button, it pulls up the form. So pop-up settings, you do not have any forms, select, choose lead magnet 1. You can always edit it and go back if you need to. Probably want to change the coloring and all that other stuff, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We're not here to make it look pretty right now. We're here to make it functional, right? Making it pretty is easy, right? You can change this, you know, like click on certain things and basically just adjust whatever you want. You know, there's no right or wrong way. Let's say I wanted to add more padding, 100, let's say there, and another 100 at the bottom. And bam, now we got it wider like how we wanted it earlier. So like we can do whatever we want at any point in time. That's not the main focus. The main focus now is, did we accomplish getting the form in here right now? So again, if I get off the page, it automatically pops up. They can enter their phone, you know, email, full name, whatever, and they can click download, and it will be sent to them. Well, no, actually, no, it will not be sent to them yet because we didn't do the automations. And so, well, how does the automations work? Well, it's quick and simple. If you go to your automations here, we can again start something from scratch. So let's just say I create a workflow from scratch. And the whole goal here is we need a trigger. Well, the trigger is when they they click download and fill this out, and they click this download button. So in this case, we're going to select the trigger, and we're going to search for exactly what we just built, a form, right? So if I choose form, well, they submitted a form, right? So we'll click on that, and we'll add a filter and be very specific and say this form is lead magnet 1. Why? Because each one of your lead magnets is going to have a unique link to the actual download file, right? So we need to be very specific at this point. So we're going to save that. And so when they actually submit that at this point in time, they can now get the email, right? You can send them an email, and you could send it from your, let's say, your name. So let's say user full name. You can send it from your company's name. You can send it from whatever you want. From email, you can also send it from your user's email, or maybe again your company email. It's up to you. Subject line, you can say something along the lines of get your free resource, right? Or maybe name it the actual resource. Here's your, right? We'll just go like this. Here's your XXX, right? Whatever the product or service is, right? That's the subject line. So like they can't miss it. They'll see it in their inbox, they'll download it, they'll appreciate it, you know, they might open it and be like, either A, you gave me a great free product, right, and it had value, or B, you gave me a sucky one and you need to improve on that, right? That's just the reality. So it's going to be, hey, so-and-so, contact name, right? We're going to choose the contact's name here, first name. And we're gonna say here, and again, you can be nice or whatever, however you want. Here is your free resource, and you would name it, of course, at this point. Here is your free resource. Again, you can add whatever you want. And then in this case, access here. And you can either paste the link of your free resource here. Let's say some Google Drive, right? Yeah, here, let's just pull this up. Let's just say I have a Google Drive here, share, copy link, and I paste it here. But that looks ugly, right? You don't want like a Google Drive link here. Instead, you might hyperlink. So take that and add a link, paste the link inside of here and save it. Action, open a new window. Yeah, new window, and then save that. So now it's not only blue and it's underlined and it's hyperlinked, but you can also go ahead and like bold it or whatever and do whatever else you want to it. And so it's like they click that button and now they go to Google Drive, right? So now it makes it cool and it functions and whatever. And again, you can say something like looking, we're gonna change this bold, but looking forward to working with you in the future, or whatever other type of thing you want to do, right? Because typically inside of here, we want to give them, let's say, the free lead magnet, right? We want to welcome them to whatever your company is, deliver the free resource, introduce BILT's main benefit, let's say, or your business's main benefit, but also give them another call to action as well. So we're giving them multiple things at one time here. We're giving them multiple things to think of. Not only do they get the free resource, we're telling them about who we are, what we do. We're also inviting them to another thing, right? In this case, it's a free Facebook group. In this case, it's a short demo. In this case, it's whatever, right? So let's just say, since we're building a template here, looking forward to working with you in the future. We do blah, 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 right? And then, of course, you can add another join our Facebook group as the example, right? Or don't forget to join whatever our Facebook group. And again, you could do the same thing, hyperlink it and do what you want, right? So let's just use this example and follow the steps again. And we'll say we're going to hyperlink this. We're going to select it. We're going to go to Facebook inside of here. We're going to grab our link. We're going to take it. And then we're going to go back, paste it in here, new window, save. Since we're following the same thing as earlier, we'll make it bold. Like, you see, you guys receive these emails all the time, right? It looks exactly like this. There's no difference. The difference is you have the ability of building them because you have the system, right? There's no excuse not to build it. If you just sit down on a weekend and start building some of these free things that you can offer to your target audience, your sellers, your agents, your buyers, your wholesalers, whoever, right? And it's like the moment you make a relationship with them, or the moment they let's just say, where was it? Let's just say this one, right? The moment they come to my link tree inside of here and they get one of my things in here, automatically they get a welcome message. Automatically they get introduced to what you do, right? There's so many things. Look, when they click my free resources, where's it go? They click on free resource, it goes to this. So it's like everything is systemic. Everything is organized in a way to optimize for your success, right? And if you're not doing that, you're kind of losing here, right? Because you have so much opportunity to do so. And then maybe last thing, maybe regards, right? Or maybe something fancier, right? Mo, whatever, put your name, put your email, put your signature, your full signature, right? Make it look nice. Let's save that. And we could just name this lead magnet -1 and leave it at that, right? Download or download lead magnet. We'll just name it like that. Download. It's all caps. Bam. Save that. But also at the same time, maybe you want to tag them so you always know inside your system that they got the free resource, this specific one, right? And so let's just say, we'll if I put free in here, resource, something very general, right? If I could spell, that'd be nice. So let's say we add a tag free resource, but we also might want to name it a specific free resource they got. So you can keep track of how many free resources has this seller, has this agent, has this buyer continuously got. I'll leave that up to your imagination right now. For now, you know, you can just add it and rename it. Right now, I'm just gonna add in here just the free resource, so we at least know they got one free resource, and then later on we can add multiple, right? So there's that. They got a free resource. Well, what if you had a process that, you know, let's just say you knew you were giving a calculator out, okay? And your goal was to target other wholesalers so you can have them submit you deals because you're doing dispositions. Well, in this case, not only would you tag them the free resource and send them that email, but you would also probably send them to your nurture sequence specifically for dispositions, for dispo intake. You would send them a dispo intake form at this stage because you have the dispo intake inside of your system right now and you're probably not using it. All right. And so it's like you would just, you know, send them another email maybe 24 hours later, 72 hours, whatever. Maybe you would send it to your dispo manager to go build a relationship with them, right? If you have a dispo pipeline, you have a buyer intake pipeline, you have whatever, right? So it's like there's nothing really you can't do. So let's just say I wanted to put in a pipeline. You would just create an updated opportunity and select the pipeline, right? Choose the funnel, choose the pipeline that you want. Let's just say you put them under welcome and quick wins or whatever, right? And you would save that and it would automatically go to the dispo person to build a relationship with that buyer. Or let's say you have a raising capital person and you had some sort of solution for lenders to help them analyze deals better and invest in deals, right? It was more education or something as a free resource. Well, the same thing here, you would send it to, let's say, your capital raiser, right? And let them actually get on a phone call and like reach out to them, build some rapport, to do all those cool things, right? Because that is how you would do things inside of here, right? That's how you want to continuously scale, grow, multi-channel market at the same time, right? Okay, well here's one simple form. Okay, cool. We did this. Lead magnets up and running. Well, let's actually make sure that it's working. Like that would be nice, right? We always want to test what we're doing. And so in this instance, let's say I, refresh this page. We just built this. We're going to click download here. I'm going to enter my name inside of here, right? Let's just say Mo, cool. Check the boxes, whatever, download, right? Thank you for taking the time to complete this form. We could have edited that. We could have edited any of these headlines right here. But what's really important is, did we actually receive the file, right? Because if we have not, then we got a serious problem. So let's just make sure. So if I move, let's just open this up. So here's my Gmail. Hey Mo, here's your free resource. Access here. Looking forward to working with you in the future. We do X, Y, and Z. Don't forget to join our Facebook group. We'll do our links work. Access here. Open this up. We have a list of San Francisco list of agents. Okay, cool. Awesome. We got the free resource we asked for. Don't forget to join our Facebook group. We open that. You have access to the Facebook group. We have 881 members in here. Make sure you guys are joining. I want to see that go up by the end of this live. That'd be nice. But yeah, so you just want to make sure everything is good, right? Everything is working. All your links are working correctly, and you test things before you start cloning them and creating more free resources, more call to actions, because we still got to do the one that, where they watch, let's say, a demo or watch a testimonial, or maybe it's you on a call with a seller, right? Maybe you gave them created a guide. Maybe you gave them a tutorial on how subject to works, or how seller finance can benefit a tired landlord, right? All those cool things, you need to be creating those, right? And, this is not going to happen instantly, guys. Now, granted, did we just create something probably in like 5 to 10 minutes, right? That was super easy, super helpful, for a lot of people who've never done this before. But a lot of people have already done this and know exactly how to do this. They're just not doing it, right? So that's why it's really, really important. But while we're in the middle of this and stuff like that, just want to let everybody know, like, if you're watching this, we are, live actually on Zoom. So of course, we have more ability to react or whatever and comment and do what you need. Also, there's more shared screen effects as well inside of here. So do keep that in mind. Yeah, so Facebook, YouTube, you'll see it in the description. You can join the live at any point with the Zoom link. But besides the point, moving on to the next step. Well, cool. Before we clone this, well, there's still a few tweaks in here that we need to modify, right? And maybe that's it's clearing all this stuff out because we don't really need all of this. I just wanted to throw one up there to just kind of show you guys the possibilities. We want something very clean that could be used as a template for any business in the future, right? Because the goal of me building this right now is so we can clone it into everybody's account, right? So all you have to do in there is literally just change the resource, or hell, when we build it out, we're going to have every single free resource in there. How about that? Every single free resource we can think of on these lives, right? As we do this together, we're going to start creating those pages, and so you guys have them all ready to go. And I don't know, we'll call it BILT 3.0 when it comes. JK. But yeah, who knows what's going to happen in the future. But this is something that we done in literally 5 to 10 minutes. It was super easy to do, right? Any one of you guys can do this too. So like, if you're watching this and you're like, hey, I can't wait for all this stuff to come to BILT, and you already have BILT, you can actually start building these at a time, right? You saw how fast we created them. You saw how easy it was. Go ahead and start. Don't hesitate. Make sure you're taking advantage of the system that you're paying for, okay? I say this all the time, and those of you who know me personally, don't make BILT a liability, make it an asset. You have so many things, so many abilities to do inside the system, besides just sending LOIs and following up and sending contracts, right? So many more things you could do with the system, okay? So do keep that in mind. We're here to build it better and better every single day, but you got to take the first step as well. So keep that in mind. All right, going back to this, what I actually want to do with you guys, and in order to do this really properly, we need to think of a way where we can keep ourselves organized as we're building these out, right? So let's just say I create a Google Doc sheet, pull this over here, cool. I want to really just try to keep myself organized, right? And if I'm going to be building this out with you guys, I also need ideas from you guys in the chat, okay? I need to know what free resources do you guys want built out, okay? What do you want to offer your people, right? Because the more we have, the more I'll be able to do with you, okay? And we can have it done for you and built in the system. And so when you get it, it's already done, okay? But if you don't tell me, I won't know. I'm just going to build whatever I think, right? And what I think is hard because I'm on a live trying to speak at the same time as think. So let's just go here and we're going to name this the number column. We're going to name this the free resource, right? We're going to have here the, let's say, path, I'm going to call it, right? Because in this case, it's typically a, like we did earlier, backslash, I think it was lead magnet 1, right? Lead magnet -1, right? And then of course, let's say we can even go further, right? If you're doing like content and stuff, and you're creating content, we can be like a keyword, right, for that piece. And in this case, let's say for lead magnet 1, here, let's just create one instead of giving hypotheticals right now. Let's just create one. I'm hard to just pretend. Let's actually do it. All right, so here's an example, right? Let's just say I have free Canva templates for listings. Let's just say I'm talking to agents right now, okay? Free Canva templates for listings. Now, I have this resource. I mean, I offer it to my agents, so that's why I brought it up. And in this case, right, the path here, maybe what you would create actually in your website, we can always edit these, but is going to be free Canva templates, right? So that when people go to your website, for example, right, BILTCRM.com / notice how it hyperlinks. And of course, it's not going to open anything. Should go to the homepage, but like you get the idea, right? That's what we're trying to do here. Okay. And let's just go ahead and remove this since you guys already understand that. And then the key word here is, let's just say Canva templates, right? If they DM you the word or they comment the word on, let's say, your Facebook or Instagram post, it'll automatically DM them the link to this path. Okay, does that make sense? So it's like we're doing multiple things here. We're automating so much more, right? But at the same time, it's like, okay, that's cool. Well, this is a path that we can also use for sending emails. This is a path that we can use for sending texts. This is a path that we can use for just while we're on the phone, just, hey, go to whatever your website is and just type in /free Canva templates, right? So many different ways. This is something you can also link to the bottom of your page, like we showed earlier. So BILT CRM.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom. I have a lot of buttons down here. I actually have 1,100 pages in here that you guys probably will not find, FYI. Okay, so a lot of stuff is hidden. A lot of stuff is only based off of if you got the email, if you got the text, if you got whatever, or else you'll never find that page ever again. Okay, and that's kind of the goal with these free resources. You want them basically hard to find as well, so not everybody can just get them, you know, unless it's an incentive. Okay, so we got that. Okay, cool. What else do we need? Okay, maybe you have some sort of content piece, right? I'll just call it content for now, but it could be a thumbnail for, because now you want to build these ahead of time, right? Because remember earlier we probably need some sort of thumbnail for this. So if we want to build them ahead of time and come up with all these ideas, we might as well have everything ready to go as well. And of course you could have your title, your free resource, whatever. So you build them out there on the spreadsheet, and then you kind of move on from there, right? So content, thumbnail, and I spelled this wrong as usual. Inside of here, you might have the title, right? And then description. So all you have to do is copy and paste when you're done, okay, into your templates. Description. Oh, I don't care anymore. So, so grab your free templates, or grab your, we want to be specific, Canva free templates for listings, right? So there you go, there's your little title. All right. Actually make this smaller. I'm just going to change this to content just for spacing. I'm trying to make this big for you guys. Make this small. Let's make this smaller. Should be good here. And so description of this is, you know, these free, you know, Canva listings will help you mock up your property listings with the help of over, I think it's like 1,000, I don't know exactly, 1,000 mockups. Just drag and drop your property photos and make your social media or ads look stunning. Whatever, I'm just writing something on my ass right now, but you guys get the idea. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Probably use the help of ChatGPT or something along the way. So that's how we would do that. Let's just make sure this is all nice and centered. And then we move on to the next one. Well, what else do we want? Okay. Let's think about this for a second, right? There's so many different things you can build, right? There is no right or wrong answer, right? But at the end of the day, we want to try to keep ourselves organized as much as possible, right? So let's move on, and let's just say I'm gonna give to wholesalers, in this case, let's say I'm talking to wholesalers, free agent list in, I don't know, Washington, right? Random state, okay? And so again, we want to do some sort of path here where it's free agent Washington. And we can always, you know, copy and paste that later. And so keyword here, we could say Washington is the keyword. If I'm spelling Washington correctly, I don't even know. Washington. We'll fix spelling later. That's the least of our worries. And then we can always just, once we're done with all of this, we can work on all of the content, and we can paste all the content in here, you know, one by one, instead, because we could just use the same template and just change some naming and stuff and some images in it. Title here, gain access to Washington realtors / agents, and then these agents are easy to use for wholesale, let's just say, outreach. We're building relationships. They are already skip traced and scrubbed. So phone numbers and emails are already clean. Again, you would make it more marketable and do whatever. You know, right now I'm just gonna go on with it right now. And make that a little bit bigger. Gee, why don't you always be this way? There we go, Rob. So that's how I do it for something like that. So again, if I were to add like another column in here just for the, I kind of do want to insert column, and I'm going to put in here audience. Right, so you guys can pick and choose, you know, and kind of like go through it. And in this case, the audience for this one would be agents. Audience for this one would be wholesalers. All right. It could be other agents as well, but they have the MLS, so they're fine. And we'll go with that. So moving on, we'll do one more, and then we'll move on. Let's say next, what else do I want to add? What else? Let's say I'm talking to a buyer this time. Let's do a buyer. I think a buyer is something that's good. What could we offer a buyer? What do you guys think we can offer a buyer? Like, in your opinion, like what do we think? Oh, right off the top of my head. Well, how about we just give them a PML list? You know, that would be super crazy to give them, right? That would be super valuable to give to a buyer, would it not? You give them a list of private money lenders and to help them buy more properties. Would that not gain so much trust and credibility from that buyer to work with you? I mean, I think it would. He would buy all your wholesale deals if you do that. Like, you're incentivizing him and saying, here's more money, buy my deals. You know, I think that's, you know, it kind of makes sense. So in this case, again, backslash PML list, and again, we can rename these however we want. For now, PML list, keyword, PML, let's say, and then get access to our private money lender list. And you guys might be like, well, why are you giving a private money lender list away? Isn't that like valuable? Yeah, sure. I mean, it is valuable, just like I give away buyer's list, but like, you guys got to think about it, right? Are you really making any money or any less money if somebody else reaches out to that person and does a deal with them? Not really, right? Because most people don't even use this list. They just get it to have it. And then they never pick up the phones. They never take action. They never do anything. That's why I give this stuff to you guys, right? Because I know you guys aren't going to really use it. It's not going to affect me. And that might sound sad, right? But that's just the reality. 99% of people don't take action. Okay, so I hope you guys that are in here, and watching, actually are action takers. So again, nationwide list of PMLs at your service, and I think my list also has other stuff too, from real estate investors to money brokers, angel, business acquisition. That's my list, right? And so much, whatever, more stuff as well. So like that's how I would do that there, right? So in this case, free. All right, we'll update this as well, and then bam, right? Let's actually name this. Keep ourselves organized in here. So this is our, let's just say, free resources, right? We'll just label this free resources. Okay. So there's that. There's 3 right off the bat we came up with. Again, probably less than 5-10 minutes, whatever it took, right? You guys can come up with your own. We can add things together. Let's see. Yes, it would be very helpful. Cool. Awesome. That's how easy it is to come up with these things. Come up with a title, come up with a description. You're still gonna have the same call to action at the bottom of your thing. Once you actually figure out what your core service is, you would put it down there, make it look pretty, and then of course clone these and keep modifying them, right? That would be the goal. Now again, we're actually going to be building this out for different resources, right? To once I figure out like how do I exactly want these templates to look like for you guys, so that it's easy for you guys to just switch your logos out. That's how I do it, because anybody can build something, right? Like we can build this all day long and make it look pretty, but is it representable for every single type of company that comes in? And it's easy to for you guys to come in and just plug and play. There's a saying, you can be a great builder, but you suck at marketing, right? Because it can never be a marketed product, because you don't build it for people, you build it for yourself. I like to build for you guys. So of course this needs to be changed, it needs to be optimized, it needs to be better. And when you guys come next week and stuff like that, this will be ready, right? Like this template will be up to date, ready to go, coloring matches. All you have to do in here is literally just change your logo at the top on your main website and you're good to go. At least that's the plan, right? That's the goal that I'm trying to achieve here, to build for you guys. But in the meantime, right, again, there's so many things we need to build out. There's so many things, right? Right now we're just doing free resources, right? Let's just rename this at the bottom. Rename, because I'm going to call this the free resources. But I'm also going to have all the actual other call to actions that maybe aren't free, maybe are services. So let's just say I do another one, right? Because all of these technically are call to actions, we call them, right? So here's your services. And maybe we have another one in here for recordings, right? Where they can go to. And then maybe we have another one in here for, I don't know, live events that you maybe hold a couple times a year, whatever, right? If you do, or plan to do, or if you do it at all, right? And we can slowly build towards these, right? But so far, after going through this, guys, like, does this seem like it's hard to do, or does this seem easy? I feel like sometimes, like especially when it comes to more technical stuff and me building, I'm the one that's just talking, right, and building it and doing all the heavy lifting and stuff. But I want every single one of you guys to think in a way of like, if I just do this once, like you build it once, and sure, it takes you a weekend or it takes you 6 months in your business, you're slowly building it out. Yeah, of course you need to try it out. If you just build this out once, 6 months of your life, let's say you built the whole entire system, right? You built this entire system right here. You built this entire flow for your company and beyond, right? And then let's just say you got your business shut down tomorrow. for whatever reason, you got into compliance, you got sued, whatever, right? You lost your clientele, you got injured, you can't do that job anymore, whatever it was, you're forced to change your business, and you have this entire system built out. The only thing you would have to do is change what those resources are, change the target audience to someone else, to a different business model, to a different service, to a different product, to a software. It does not matter, right? Because you have the idea, you have the templates, all you have to do is change text, essentially. Text and links, right? Because the entire system would be built out and done for you, right? This is what I'm trying to achieve here, right? Again, people want to charge $20,000, $50,000, $100,000. These CMOs out there that build all these cool back-end systems that take months and months to build, right? But the goal here is to build them out for this, so you guys have them, right? I don't need to charge that. Like, we're not here to charge. We're here to give more value to what we've already have inside of our system. Our system does enough, right? Technically, we could charge more, but we're not here to do that, right? We're here to give more and more and more and more, so it makes it impossible, right, for someone to say your product sucks, right? That's always me. That's what I take pride in, right? Making sure you guys have every single thing, no excuses whatsoever. If I can do it, if Mo can do it, Mo will do it, right? If I can't, I'll say I can't, or I need more time, or we'll put some other minds together and we'll figure it out, right? Again, we're here to do this together and make sure that BILT has everything that you guys need to be successful. Any questions? Anything that we have specific to BILT? You guys have questions, deals you're working on, things you guys need help with, anything along those lines? If you have it, don't hesitate to raise your hand, add a comment in the chat or whatever. At the same time, like, I do want to give a reminder for everyone else, because it has been a tough transition coming from Facebook solely onto YouTube with the lives, and I know we've changed a few things. I plan on having a button in the CRM that pops up once we actually do go live. I think that'll be cool. It'll only pop up at 8 o'clock at night Eastern time for you guys, so it's like if you're in your CRM, it could pop on. I feel like not everybody gets it. They also don't get the Zoom link because they're so used to watching it on Facebook. We don't go live on Facebook that much anymore as a regulation. But if you have any questions, just reach out, guys. We're here to assist you. We're here to support you. If you need a demo for BILT, just reach out. We'll get you on. Again, if you're not an affiliate, why not? You could be making more money. We get 30% recurring on that monthly basis, so do keep that in mind. And of course, we're going to continuously build more cool things for you guys, so you guys do not ever have an excuse as to why BILT is not the best. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, every single one of you guys, for being here. Again, you could have been anywhere, but instead you were here with me, so thank you. I will see you guys next time, next week. In the meantime, if you need any assistance, just reach out to me and you'll get all the assistance you can get. But thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.